Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 24 of the Velocity Racing League Cup Series. We are here today at Watkins Glen for the MASH Dash. 36 laps that we will be completing here today. We are also running the boot, as well as that lovely chicane that you can, well, not chicane, it's kind of chicane, bus stop, whatever you want to call it, there at the very top of the track at the long straightaway. Now, teasing a little bit, things could get interesting here today at Watkins Glen. Let's see how these drivers are going to handle it here today. My name is Mason Heimbaugh, bringing you the action here today, 1080p, 60 frames a second with Team Goon Squad. Folks, I hope you all are ready for the action here tonight as we get ourselves into our qualifying run here today. Some of our drivers already out on the track, making their way around for the very first time before they begin their official timed lap. So, while drivers have a few moments to do that here today, Ray Aguilar in the chat, welcome back to another broadcast here tonight. Thomas Sewell as well, welcome back to another show here with Velocity Racing League. Great to see some of the regulars tuning in for yet another race here, round number 24 of the VRL 2022 Cup Series. I gotta say, this has been one of the most exciting seasons that I've had the pleasure of commentating for thus far. I mean, we've started early. Gosh, when did we start this season? It was early February, if I'm not mistaken. Ooh, as we're watching here with James Miller, the 09 machine, getting a little bit wobbly there. Getting it back together, though. Luckily, he is just before he comes across that checkered line to begin his official time lap here. Ray Aguilar. Teasing, of course, hey, wait, those are stock cars. Those are supposed to only go left. And yeah, you know, that's one of the things that I love about this Cup Series is that we sometimes get the opportunity to see these drivers take these cars to road courses and tackle not only left but right-hand turns, and some pretty gnarly ones at that. We've had the pleasure of going to, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to go back here and take a look at my notes here to remember. We've had the pleasure of going to Virginia International Raceway. We've been to Road America. We've been to Sebring. There's the other one that I was looking for, and there's plenty more to come. The one that I'm most excited for coming up in the future here, October 31st, Laguna Seca is, I gotta say, folks, that is going to be one of probably the most trickiest road courses that we are going to see here on the schedule. And here at Watkins Glen, I would say it's not really all that much different. This is definitely, it can be a pretty difficult course if you let it be. But here in these cars as well, these cars can be quite the handful, especially when you're trying to get into slow down and take those right-handers. Definitely, you're fighting it the whole way through. So these drivers are going to be giving it their all here tonight. So far, everyone is looking, well, give or take, how you want to perceive practice as, given that we didn't cover much of practice, of course. But, yeah, some of these drivers, you know, not all that confident going into road courses as well. So we kind of get to see a lot of these guys out of their element and in a place where it's just, oh man, what can we do? What is going to be our best strategy here? As we're watching with the 97 Howie Briss. Let's actually take a moment here while these drivers are still making their way around the track here. Speaking of Howie Briss, still the points leader in the championship at this moment. There you see Nicholas Lovell actually pushing his way up to the very tippy top of the timing score on the left-hand side here. Both of these drivers have been competing pretty close for this championship leading up to this race number 24. There's still quite a few races left before the end of the season here. But I gotta say, between really the top three here, Howie Briss, Nicholas Lovell, Jaden Hopp, all three of these drivers have shown some pretty serious competition throughout the season. And tonight, I mean, this is kind of a really good chance for, well, I wouldn't say a really good chance, but this is kind of going to be an interesting kind of wild card, if you'd like to think of it like that. But out of nowhere, though, not necessarily out of nowhere. Benny Hogan, another driver who frankly has shown some pretty solid success in the road courses in the past as well. Out here putting himself up at the very tippy top of the timing tower here with the best qualifying run with a 155.93 as his best time here. Tony Hildebrand's actually pushing his way up into the top three. Second place with a 156.09. James Coulibaly. OMG, the Glen. James, yeah, we're here at the Glen and the full course at that as well. So, you know, sometimes you might see sometimes you might run the short version of the Glen here, but no, VRL decided, Tony Hildebrand's decided, you know what, no, we are going to run the full course, we're going to use the whole track, we're going to enjoy it. But I'm excited nonetheless. I'm a little excited to see as well just kind of how some of these drivers are going to tackle these opening laps here. Oh, look at this, how he burst the 97, absolutely sending it into turn one. I always say it about these road course races is that the opening lap, turn number one, Cody Welch, excuse the little bit of a load delay there on your, see, this is exactly what I mean, folks. These cars can be hot and heavy, trying to get them to slow down into the turns. These cars are not built like your Formula 1, your even Formula 2 or 3, or even GT cars, for example. They're not designed to slow down from 150 miles an hour all the way down to 80 miles an hour in the matter of 200 to 100 feet, 100 yards, whatever the case may be. Point being, you really have to extend the braking zones with these cars, at least from the experience that I've had trying to rip one of these cars around the road course. So it's kind of like trying to slow down a freight train, if you will. You really got to take things nice and easy going into the turn. Get yourself set up for that turn, and just keep that momentum moving forward. Just keep yourself fast. Cody Welch doing a great job of showing us just how to do that here in the 85 machine as we make our way through the bus stop. And already most of the field having completed their qualifying run here. Only a handful of drivers deciding not to make their way out onto the racetrack here today. They are going to decide to start it from the tail end of the field here. And so far it looks like Nicholas Lovell, Cody Welch, James Coulibaly, all are still left out on the racetrack here. And it looks like James Coulibaly as well, chiming in the YouTube chat, but also racing on the racetrack. The 22 machine gonna rip some laps here before the end of the qualifying session here. The 22 GoPenske.com machine making his way through what is going to be up to the final turn here. 2 turns, if you will. Taking it nice and easy right up onto the curb, slowing himself down, preparing for the final turn out onto the front straightaway. Let's see where James Coulibaly is going to place himself on the timing tower the next time that he comes around the racetrack here. I don't even know if he's going to have enough time here. Drivers are looking to be setting times of about 2 minutes around the racetrack, so I don't know. I don't think James is going to have enough time here to complete a full lap before that's all said and done. But we do have the top 9 having filled out the timing tower on the left-hand side of our screen there, so we can kind of get an idea of where, well, a good majority of this field is going to be putting themselves here as far as pace is concerned. That might all change here as well. Like I said, the first lap, the first turn of these road courses can make it or break it, really. And we only have 36 laps that we are going to be completing here today. So, with how interesting turn 1 can get here, I don't know. There's plenty of room. Definitely plenty of room. I mean, if you go off track, you go off track, whatever. You get the penalty for it. But for these drivers, I don't know. Just trying to get these cars to slow down enough. I could maybe see a couple guys getting into each other here or there. But enough of that, folks. The qualifying is over. We're going to have a short little intermission here, let our race control get things sorted out here. Also, hello, Don Hilbrands. Welcome back to another race. Glad to have you here. Tony Hilbrands, actually, I don't know if you caught it before. Well, actually, let's just go right into our starting grid and you'll find out. So, starting off in the front row of our race here today for the Mash Dash at Watkins Glen, it's going to be Jaden Hopp, the number 81 machine, starting off in first place. Howie Briss, the current championship leader. The 97 car taking second here today with Benny Hogan. The number 5 car in third. Nicholas Lovell, second place in the championship. The 37 machine in fourth place. Tony Hilbrands in fifth. James Miller in sixth place here today. Charles Jurek in seventh. Cody Welch in eighth place. Matthew Fitz in ninth. Logan Jones in 10th. James Coulibaly in 11th. Michael Ashmore in 12th place. Moving on down the grid here, it's Scott Shire in 13th and Patrick Colby taking 14th to round out our field here tonight. A little bit of a smaller grid than we normally see, but frankly, I'm going to be honest with you folks, if you haven't been tuned in, if you haven't been watching some of the shows in the past, and if you haven't seen some of the previous road course races that we've had here with Velocity Racing League, it's not usually the most favored thing amongst drivers. Now, Ray kind of made a good point without necessarily making it the way that he was intending to, but point being is that these cars are designed to go left. They're designed for ovals, and to take them here to road courses is always kind of just I don't want to say daring, but it's always it's an interesting challenge, and sometimes that challenge is not always received the best amongst drivers. So to all of those that have made it out here tonight and have decided to strap themselves in for 36 laps here at the Glen, I applaud you. This is going to be quite the race here tonight. And, I mean, Watkins Glen can pose some really interesting racing, especially with just how fast you can go really through a lot of this course. I mean, the boot itself, kind of got to be careful going through that section of the course, as well as the bus stop here that we have coming up in just a few short seconds. And really, I mean, you can carry a lot of speed through all of this. It's just a matter of how steady are you able to do it. That's really going to be the question here, but a lot of these drivers are very confident behind the wheel. We've seen them take on similar, well, not similar, but I would say as difficult tracks before. So I don't think that these guys will have much issue here, and especially knowing, if you look way back, I believe it was the third race, second or third race of the season, we were at Sebring. And I got to tell you, that was quite the interesting way to kind of have a second race of the season. I was almost going to say start of a season, but the start of the season was with Daytona. So, a little bit more, I guess, anyway, as my brain fails to find words to say, we're going to get ourselves ready for the final couple of turns that we have to make our way through. Drivers just getting themselves ready and warmed up. Big Mike 53, hello sir, welcome to the show here tonight. Great to have you back for round number 24 here with Velocity Racing League. All of these drivers, all of this community that for these drivers, I love to see it. A lot of great support for the drivers, for the league. Awesome to see, and it's great to have everyone tuning in every single week to show their support for their favorite drivers, and really just tuning in and enjoying the show as we get ourselves ready to go green here. The pace car getting ready to dive down into the pit road here as we come out of the final turn onto the front straightaway. There goes the safety car down into pit lane. And the green flag is out. Jaden Hopp, Howie Briss side by side. Benny Hogan, Nicholas Lovell. Look at James Miller as well. He's trying to get a little bit of the action here, but Jaden Hopp, he's taking full advantage of all the drivers duking it out. right behind him. A couple drivers going right over that curbing. If I recall correctly, you don't actually get a penalty for going over that curbing. There's actually a little bit further of a point, but I could be mistaken. It might be all 4 tires over it. Anyhow, that's not important at this point in time. As right now, the top 5 have gotten quite a little bit of a fight happening, and you can see James Miller getting real loose there for just a second. You could see that rear end starting to wobble away from him, trying to get that car slowed down as he was battling it out there with Tony Hilbrands, the 92 machine, currently holding on to that 5th place spot. You can see as well Jaden Hopp up here at the very tippy top of the field, just doing an incredible job, just keeping this race steady. That's all he needs to do at this point is just, oh, look at this. Tony Hilbrand trying to make a dive down onto the inside of Nicholas Lovell in the 37 car. Not quite going to be able to make it work this time around, but the 09, James Miller, he thinks he's got some speed to build up here. Going into the right-hander, fast right-hander at that. You can see drivers almost clipping the grass there as they exit. This is a very tricky turn here for some drivers as well. I know that I had some struggles with it with the first couple times that I raced on it. You think that you can go a little bit faster through that turn, but really it can be quite deceiving if you're not careful. But so far, everyone staying to that single file action that we're seeing right now and really just trying to keep themselves green and clean at this moment. And really also as well, trying to just build up that momentum. These guys need to find any mistake that their opponent ahead of them might be making and take full advantage of it. A driver overshoots their braking zone by 50 feet. They have to lock up their tires. All of a sudden, you just gained a half a second on your opponent. Now's the time to take that advantage here. James Miller might be one of those drivers seeing that here. As Tony Hilbrands, I think, is starting to catch up to Nicholas Lovell here. Just about a quarter of a second separating these two. So, let's take a moment here. I want to actually take a moment to ride on board with James Miller. We're right on top of the 09 machine, and we can just kind of get a different view, different perspective on what's happening down here on the racetrack. Here as we're coming through the heel of the boot. I believe that's the heel. Yes, that is indeed the heel. Okay. Very fast here out of turn 10. Just steady through 11, and it's very easy to catch that wall coming out of turn 11 if you're going just too fast. I mean, and it's so easy, again, folks, to think that you can carry that momentum and think that the car will just be able to make that turn and not do anything horrible. But sometimes you can just overestimate it just a little bit, and that's all it needs. That's all it needs. But this is a really great shot here of what it's like trying to battle on a road course here with these cars, as James Miller duking it out with Tony Hilbrands. And Tony, you can see him, he's throwing up all sorts of blocks here, just trying to stay out in front of the 09 machine, not allowing him to get anywhere around him. And through these turns, realistically, you want to be down on that inside, try and take away that line advantage away from your opponent. But right now, it looks like we've got a couple drivers really just kind of shuffling through this field at the moment through the top 5. looks like a moment ago, a little while ago actually, Michael Ashmore was involved in a little bit of an incident, and it sent him back here towards the tail end of the field. And speaking of just going through the rest of the field here and kind of working our way up at this moment, so we've got this pack of drivers here. Oh, whoa, Logan Jones misses the turn big time, gets himself way off track here on lap number 3. No caution's going to come up from that, as it was a lone car incident. There's no other drivers involved in that one, and he was able to get himself back out on track with no harm, no foul. So, tough break for Logan Jones, and that is going to set him back rather significantly here, as we're just taking a look at James Coulibaly as well as Patrick Colby sitting in 10th and 11th place at this point in time, as they work their way through turn 1, the same place. Well, actually, no, where Logan Jones was, that was, I believe that might have been turn, I believe that was turn 8, right out of the heel, if I'm not mistaken. But here we go, Patrick Colby, James Coulibaly side by side, but James is going to have the advantage here on this chicane here, but oh, a little step onto the grass there. In those moments, you as a driver, you can feel it in the wheel, and it's just one of those moments where you're just like, please don't do what I think you're about to do. And it's all just praying to the iRacing overseers at that point. So, and you can also see Scott Shire as well, just kind of trailing along back here, right behind these two drivers. As great move, oh, almost a great move from Colby in the number 9 machine. That's gonna push him back just a little bit. Now he's gonna be stuck behind the tail of Scott Shire in the number 4 Fox machine, and Colby, not sure what's going on here, but it seems like he might be having some sort of mechanical issue. I'm not exactly 100% certain on that, but or maybe he just got a little too hot on the brakes and started to think he was driving a GT car. I'm not 100% certain, but you know, folks, I can only imagine. Oh, whoa, that was quite the move here from Tony Hilbrand, just staying right tucked in on the turn, and great exit. James Miller, the 09 machine, he's going to get himself right up on the outside of the 37 to Nicholas Lovell here as we come out of turn 4, out onto the back straightaway, heading towards the bus stop. They're going to stack it up single file here. Smart move from these drivers. Definitely don't want to try and take this thing too wide at all. I mean, especially in these cars, maybe in GT cars you might be able to pull it off, but you're definitely going to be sacrificing position depending on where you are in that situation. But either way, it's going to be sketchy. It's not going to end well depending on who you are and where you are, or maybe everyone's not going to get the short stick. Anyway, lap 5 of 36 here. Everyone doing a phenomenal job, I got to say. You know, looking at timing and scoring, we've got a couple drivers having a slip up here or there, but here's the thing, it's just a slip up. You know, it's someone got their tire a little bit off of the official track, if you will. Sometimes you get a little too hot coming out of these turns, especially here. This is a good example of a place where you can kind of overextend the track limits, I guess you could say. And sometimes it's not really 100% clear on where that is or isn't. So drivers sometimes tackling that here or there, but ultimately gonna just be trying to keep this pace up right now. And so far, speaking of pace, just take a moment to appreciate the 81. That was a great slide through turn 1 from the 81 car of Jaden Hopp. That's another thing to actually mention here, now that we're talking about that subject. So, 36 laps that we're going to be completing here. I've mentioned that a few times already. What I haven't mentioned is our fuel window for the race here tonight. 23 laps is what we are expecting to see roughly for drivers for fuel. Now, drivers also have 3 sets of tires behind the wall, so I'm expecting that a lot of this field is probably going to come down through the pits for tires a lot sooner than they're going to come through for fuel. Just knowing the nature of road course races and knowing the nature of these cars and how they like to burn through tires. Regardless of how good you might be on saving them, these tracks can be relatively brutal, and honestly, that's probably why I'm so excited for Laguna. Because of, ooh man, Nicholas Lovell. He is absolutely sending it here. So we're going to watch out the tail end of the 92 of Tony Hillbrand's as they make their way out of the heel. So, let's talk a moment here while the drivers have kind of got themselves, some of these guys a little closer than others, pack-wise. Here's a great view of the track map down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. You can see where this field is stacking themselves up and who they're kind of racing with a little bit. This might also make it a little bit easier to tell who is who. So you can see Jaden Hopp all the way up at the front end of the field, the 76 machine that we're currently locked on with. Sitting in 8th place, he's got Cody Welch, the 85 machine, sitting in that 7th place spot as they're going to make their way through the bus stop section at this point in time. And you can see James Coulibaly. Actually, technically, you can see Michael Ashmore, the 98 machine. He is the furthest driver away from this field at the moment. And in that situation, I mean, it's so tough to try and do anything at that point in time. It almost feels, man, it's a tough break. Absolutely tough break for Michael Ashmore. And maybe it's just he, doesn't want to affect anyone else's race here and is just trying to turn some laps and enjoy some time here at Watkins Glen. Who knows? But either way, either how, that is kind of an idea of where this field is starting to show themselves at. And frankly, I am rather surprised with how bunched up a lot of these guys are. And that's a lot of the time you'll see that happen. Qualifying gives you a completely different picture than what you might see in a race, and you really can't use qualifying as an idea of what the race is going to turn out to be, because all qualifying is just a dash to get the best starting position possible. That's all it is. That's all it boils down to. Your true race pace won't be really shown until you get out there and you start turning laps under green flag. So with that in mind here, I mean, we've got, looks like, let's see here. We've got Tony Hillbrand's Nicholas Lovell. They're duking it out for 4th place at this moment. Howie Briss is currently getting chased down by James Miller. Oh, Lovell, a little bit onto the grass there through the bus stop. But he is right on the tail of Tony Hillbrand's as they work their way through the outer loop, heading through the chute. And Thomas Sewell, he mentioned a little bit at the beginning of the broadcast, I have my pick on the winner You know, and the first thing that came to my mind was, I don't see Aaron Smith here tonight. I'm only kidding, but as we've seen quite the dominance from the 70 car here, it's honestly surprising that we don't see him here tonight. But for Jaden Hopp, that might even be playing in his favor, as Jaden's just driving away from this field at this moment. Almost a 4-second gap separating first and second place. Howie Burris sitting in that second place spot here at this moment. So I don't know, for Jaden, I think this might be a blessing in disguise, but either way, it's not going to be an easy race for everyone else involved here. With pit stops kind of looming around the corner here at this moment, I'd say we have probably at least another 10 laps, 5 to 10 laps before we see anyone even think about coming down into the pits here. Marcus Recall. Oh man. Well, I'm glad that everyone is on the same page. So, and it's usually it's kind of like the Lewis Hamilton of the Formula One series. You know, we have the Aaron Smith for VRL when it comes to road courses. Anytime you see that road course come up on the schedule, it's like, oh well, if he's there, we already know who's going to be at the podium. But I think tonight is going to be a breath of fresh air for Jaden Hopp, and maybe even for some of these other drivers here, kind of getting an opportunity to see what the different pace of their... Whoa, okay, Tony there. I don't know what was going on as these two go sideways. Well, not sideways, but side by side. Nicholas Lovell might get a little sideways, though. They go through the heel. Hillbrands and Lovell both putting on a really awesome show here, as Benny Hogan as well starting to kind of trail in on the mix here. Let's take a look here from the inside of Benny Hogan's machine here, and let's just take a lap around here at Watkins Glen and see what the 5 of Benny Hogan is going to do here. Marcus saying, here's to hoping Sean gets better soon. If I'm not mistaken, that's Sean Williams, and I haven't heard anything about it yet, but for myself, Sean, I hope you're feeling better. I hope you get well soon, and hopefully get to see yourself back out here on track before too long. Section again, these two still duking it out. We're kind of just trailing along with these drivers here at the moment, just anticipating these pit stops to happen. I feel like lap 20 might be where these drivers are going to want to come in. They might push it a little bit later than that, but I don't know. We might have to we're going to keep watching here. Great shot as they come out of turn 11, out onto the front straightaway. Don Hillbrand saying the in-car cam here gives a better look at the racetrack than NASCAR. Don, thank you for that. That is a specialty of my own doing. I personally go through most of the cars that I have the pleasure of broadcasting for, modify them if they need to be. Just because personally, as much as you, the viewers at home, like to be able to, I'd like to be able to see the racetrack. I like to be able to see what the drivers are doing, what's going on, instead of just, well, race car, essentially. Anyway, I mean, it's really great to be able to kind of show everyone at home what it's as close to being like. Oh, Tony. No, the 92. Little bit of an issue here as he comes through the chute. A little bit of a scrape to the wall there on the exit. I don't think there's too much other damage there. I don't see anything else. It's kind of hard to tell. It might have only been just a scrape, and it looks like he's still able to drive it just fine. But my, oh my, that was a hit if I've ever seen one. Sometimes it's all it takes too is just the slightest tap to a wall, and all of a sudden your suspension is all kinds of messed up, and you're holding your wheel to the left or to the right, trying to keep it going in a straight line. Oh, I love it. I love it. 25 laps left to go. Long time that we have left here at Watkins Glen, and I gotta say, there are still plenty of opportunities here for these drivers to make mistakes, like we saw Tony Hilbrand's just make a second ago. Unfortunately for Tony, I believe he was duking it out there still with Lovell and Benny Hogan, and getting caught out like that into the grass. Tough break for the 92 machine. And again, that just goes to show how tricky it can be to get these cars slowed down. As Tony here showing us how it's done, getting it through the bus stop like a professional. Almost made me think I was watching a GT car there for a second. That was great work there from Tony Hilbrand. Absolutely trying to fly through this racetrack, get himself caught back up as much as he can. Right now we've got Michael Ashmore in the pits here at this moment, but I believe that he's had some issues here already throughout this race. So I don't think that he's coming in for tires or anything like that. Let's pop in here. Let's take a moment. Nope, it does not look to be that way. It might just be he's getting some things hammered out by the pit crew. Get himself back on the racetrack, as we're going to tune in here with Matthew Fitz and Logan Jones here for the battle for 9th place. Logan Jones, the number 3 machine, holding on to that spot here as we make our way through turn 7 of the toe. Here we go, actually. The first pit stop that we are seeing, and definitely a little bit of lockup. You can see the tire marks on the track here as the 09 of James Miller making his way down through pit lane. So 24 laps left to go. Lap 12. I don't know if he's going to get any fuel per se. There's, like I said, they're good for fuel all the way up until lap 23. He might get a splash of fuel to fill up. There we see the left side going up of the 09 car. So I think this might be the indicator that we wanted to see here for drivers to begin their stops here. Timing and scoring indicating James Miller already making his way out of pit road here as well. Thomas Sewell, I think you put it best. There are some monster drivers here in this league, and I fully agree. the talent of drivers that we've seen throughout this year, throughout this season, it's been incredible. It's been absolutely incredible. Well, actually, I can't even say almost. Every single race that we've been to, there's always some kind of action unfolding. There's always something happening. Whether it's a race that's filled with, unfortunate cautions, or it's a race that's all green flag until the end. There's always something to see here with Velocity Racing League, and frankly, that's why I'm always excited to tune in. Well, not necessarily tune in, but to bring everyone the action here week after week, because these drivers all have the same passion, the same drive to come away with that win every single night. And whether it's for internet brownie points or if it's just to say, hey, you know what, I beat you, whatever the case may be, these drivers all have it in them, and that's what makes a good racing series, in my opinion. All of these drivers work well together. Every single one of them helps each other to boost not only their own individual performance, but just their performance as a whole, a cohesive whole. Sometimes there's bickering, sometimes there's disagreements, but at the end of the day, every single one of these drivers, they come back, they check themselves in, they get ready, they strap themselves into the seat, get ready for another race. With 23 laps left to go here at Watkins Glen, I'm honestly very impressed with how this has gone so far. There's still pit stops that we have to make here. So, once we get these drivers back out onto the track with cold tires. Now, currently, the only driver doing that at the moment, James Miller, the 09 machine, the Tim Hortons 09 car. Ooh, boy. As he works his way through the tow, he is going to be actually probably at this point has those tires warmed up enough and is going to be pushing that pace just a little bit more here. But again, as the rest of the field does the same thing, you could easily see some drivers wanting to take a corner the same way that they have been for the past 13, 14 laps, however many laps that they've been on those tires. Tony Hilbrand's actually going to be making his way down through pit lane here with 22 to go. The 92 machine is deciding 14 laps is enough for me on these tires. Let's go ahead and get a fresh set as well. Maybe some fuel here. I think James Miller might have got a splash of fuel. I don't think he got a full tank, but regardless of that matter, Tony Hilbrand's going to be the second driver to make his way down into pit road. Jennifer Wonders, Let's Go Welch, the 85 cars, currently sitting in 5th place at this moment. And again, this field has done an incredible job keeping this race green all the way up until this point here. Still pit stops left to be made. I would say after this one, we are going to have one more to go after that before we see the checkered flag. So depending on how these driver strategies play out for themselves, I don't know, this field could get mixed up just a little bit. I don't know. Let's keep our eyes out because, we've seen James Miller, the 09 car, make his way down into pits already. Actually, look at this. Charles Jurek looks to have had possibly a moment here just a second ago. I don't know if anything was done to the 76 or if he just got himself a little bit off track, or what the case might have been here. But either way, Charles still racing here. He's got Logan Jones kind of a little bit on his tail here, but otherwise not giving him too much trouble as they work their way out of turn 7, heading into the heel of the boot. Big Mike 53 asking, Jaden dominating, and indeed he is the 81 car. Nearly 5 seconds separating himself in second place, Howie Briss at this point in time. So I would say Jaden is without a doubt dominating this race at this point in time, as Cody Welch, the 85 car, driver we were just looking at a second ago, making his way down into the pits. Going to be starting his first pit stop of the race here tonight. We're going to see exactly how this is going to affect our field here. Now, looking at things right now, we can see James Miller up into 5th place at this moment as he's going to approach the bus stop. All of that's not really... Oh. James, you can't do that when I'm talking you up, man. You know, when you're on screen, you're on the TV, and, you know, the broadcaster's talking big game about you. Oh, man, he's not even listening. Anyway, anyhow, as he shouldn't be, definitely should not be listening to me while trying to race. Bad idea. Anyway, James Miller having a little bit of a slip-up through that chicane, through the bus stop, keeping it together miraculously somehow. I don't even know how he pulled that off. That was an incredible save from the 09 car, and he continues to have some slides here and there, so I don't know if that's attributed to the new tires that he's on, if they're still a little bit slickier, or maybe that's just the track temperatures possibly warming up here a little bit. There's not too many drivers out here on track, so I can't imagine that it's getting heated up too much here, but I could be wrong. I could be very, very wrong in that assumption. Michael Ashmore, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Michael Ashmore, I was not enjoying my faux automobile operating experience. Oh, sometimes the woes of sim racing get the best of us and you have a bad day. As unintentional as that sounded, or, well, unintentionally ironic as that sounded, yeah, sometimes it's just not your day. I've definitely had those moments where you get into a race and you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to rip some laps, have a good time. I'm not going to try and get a podium or win a race or anything like that. I just want to turn some laps. I want to race. And someone, you know, wrecks you out, or you wreck yourself because you make a goof going into a turn, whatever the case may be. Definitely bums you out a little bit, but Michael, you live to race another day and hopefully get to see yourself back out on track next week and maybe have a little bit more success for the 98 car. But hey, at least you get to join us up here. Enjoy the race, the rest of the race, with 20 laps left to go, and maybe get to see some cool wrecks. Who knows? Speaking of wrecks, well, okay, no, not speaking of wrecks. Oh, it's already happened. It's complete. Anyway, James Coulibaly here, the 22 machine, who we saw, I believe it was his qualifying run, have a little bit of a moment. Maybe it was someone else. I can't remember. But anyway, I was watching during practice just a little bit. Some of these drivers just absolutely sending it through a few of these turns, and it was just incredible seeing just how loose some of these drivers would get, trying to slow these cars down, trying to see how much speed they could carry through a turn. Because really it's all an experiment at that point during practice. You know, it's like, hey, how far can I actually push this car before I just lose it? Don Hilbrands, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to, I promise. It's not on purpose. With 19 laps left to go here, we've only got 2 drivers left up here at the top. Ooh, no, Jaden Hobb had a little bit of a moment somewhere. Oh no. A little slow through out of the exit of the toe here. Okay. All right, let's hope that nothing bad happens while we do this. We're going to take an instant replay and take a look at what happened with Jaden Hopp here, because this seems like it has affected his race car. Okay, a little loose through one. Gets himself spun around. Okay, nothing else of that, just a spin. Okay. You know, sometimes timing and scoring can be a little deceiving. It can make you think that things are a little bit worse than they actually were. But luckily for Jaden Hopp, in his case, it was not that bad. He only got a spin. I mean, however you want to view that as. But Jaden now going to take this opportunity to come down through the pits, get those fresh set of tires, and I think that spin might have been an indicator to him. You know, Watkins Glen, a message to the 81 machine saying, hey, it's time to come down to the pits. Your tires are done. But sometimes drivers are stubborn. They want to take it all the way until the bitter end. And that might have been the case there with Jaden. But as far as I can tell, actually, we've still got Howie Briss out here on the racetrack in the 97 machine, all out on his lonesome here as well. He's got about 22 seconds, almost 23 seconds, separating himself and James Miller in the 09 car. Yeah, I know, Dawn. I'm sorry. I did it. I did the jinx. That's maybe I need to get a jinx jar. You know, every time the broadcaster jinx the race, you got to put $1 in it. I wonder how many dollars I would go through. Anyway, we've got Patrick Colby, James Coulibaly. They're saying, you know what, that's it as well. So the only other driver left to have to make his way down into the pits is going to be Logan Jones in the number 3. Here as Howie Briss is going to make his way through turn 9. Final couple turns here. Let's see if Howie is also going to make this decision. I don't know. Let's see here. He's not setting himself to go. Okay, maybe. Yes, he is. Okay. All right, there it is. Howie Briss, he's going to make his way down into the pits. So the strategy of the 09 car has definitely shown its face here. The undercut playing in the favor of the 09 machine. Coming in lap 12. Oh man. But James Miller coming in that lap 12 mark for his first pit stop here. Now, I don't know how this is going to work for him once his second stop is going to have to come down here because, again, 17 laps left to go. Drivers all coming in under 20 laps. They're going to have to come in one more time to get one last set of tires before the end of the race here. So, again, talking about Logan Jones here, he came in early the first time. Is he going to do it again here towards the end of the race? I would almost have to assume that he will if he wants to continue this trend that he's going at right now. Come in early, wait for everyone else to come in later. That way, by the time they all come out, you're already, let's take a look here, Howie, between himself and Howie Briss. Let's take a look on the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll see that time. Almost 15 and a half seconds separating these guys right now. So, insanity for James Miller to kind of pull off this really kind of, I don't even have a good word for it. He's just done this in the dark, you know. He just stayed behind the curtain. He's just like, I'm not even going to make myself known here. I'm just going to click off laps. And frankly, that's one of the things that I like about this series with the road courses is that it's a huge strategy game. It's not about just turning laps. It's not about overtaking your opponent on a turn. I mean, yes, it's all great to see. It's awesome for the broadcast. But for these road courses, the pit strategy is what matters. You have to plan. Planning is going to be your most critical part of your race. And if you don't have that down, it can really make or break your race here today. So with 16 laps left to go, we're going to go ahead, take a quick commercial break here in the booth, take a moment to get something to drink here, actually, as well as just enjoy the sights and sounds here at Watkins Glen. Well, not necessarily the sights and sounds, but anyway, anyhow, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned because we've got more of the Mash Dash at the Glen here on Team Goon Squad. We'll be right back for more iRacing right here on TGS. Back, folks. 15 laps left to go here. Currently tuned with Logan Jones and Cody Welch, both duking it out of turn. I believe that was out of the heel. All right, going through turn 9 now onto the short straightaway, heading to 10. And this little section back here, I mean, coming out of that boot, you really got to be on top of your game and really pay attention to what you're doing, because any little slip up, any mistake can cost you dearly, and a lot of speed, a lot of pace can be lost just from those tiny errors here in that section in the boot. So every single one of these drivers having to do all that they can to maintain that here throughout this race, and with only 15 laps left to go here, we're looking at Jaden Hopp and Nicholas Lovell kind of in a little bit of a battle here for third place. Now, James Miller still holding on to that lead as well, and even with the minor difference in tire, well, I say minor, but here on a road course this big, that difference is actually quite significant. This is almost a, well, 3.5 mile track with the configuration that we're currently racing on. You know, so for Howie Briss, he came in at lap 19. James Miller came in lap 12. 7-lap difference between those two, and that is quite a lot of miles to put on those tires here. So I don't know. I don't know how long James is going to be able to maintain that pace before Howie Briss is right on his heel again. We'll just have to kind of pay attention and see how that develops here as the race goes on. But, I mean, for the rest of the field here, as we take a look at the track map, let's actually head up to our blimp camera here as well for just a moment. It's a little far away from what we're currently locked on with. You can see Nicholas Lovell as well as Jaden Hopp as they make their way out on to that little front straightaway section out of turn 1 there, heading through the S's right now. But you can see the other drivers kind of scattered around through the field here as these two drivers making their way down the long straightaway, heading towards the boot, or well, the bus stop rather. Logan Jones, the number 3 car, whom I didn't even realize hadn't even come into the pits yet, is actually the only driver to stay out on nearly 23 laps of fuel and tires. So Logan Jones taking taking that stint length to its absolute maximum here tonight. That's impressive for Logan as well. And that's going to set him up going into the final half of this race with only 14 laps left to go. Think about it. Logan doesn't have to come down into the pits at all again. These drivers out here on the track, meanwhile, they're going to have to start thinking about when to come down into pit road again. For Logan Jones, this might put him exactly where he wants to be, which might be a podium. Maybe even a win here tonight for the Mash Dash. We're going to ride on board once again with Jaden Hobb in the 81 car, chasing along with Nicholas Lovell as they now make their way through the S's here. Love that you can see the rear end wanting to get away from them as they make their way down this straightaway. But here is a really great view coming through the bus stop, and just how much these drivers get up on that curb and how much it unsettles the car there. Heading through the toe, staying right on the tail. You know, and I love how close a lot of these drivers are able to stay as close as they are to each other. It's very, very impressive to see the competition amongst this field when they're bunched up like this and when they're kind of stacked up next to each other. The racing gets phenomenally difficult for these guys. But that's why we're here. Oh, Lovell. Not sure if that was a little bit of an iRacing error or what that was, but either way. Oh, man. Jaden Hobb trying all that he can to keep with Nicholas. And Nicholas did a great job there, pushing down to the bottom of the racetrack on the front straightaway to try and break up the air behind him, preventing Jaden Hobb from staying right on his tail down that straightaway. Be able to build up speed and possibly make a pass. And with 12 laps left to go, I mean, at this point, trying to get out of a driver that's immediately in front of you is probably not out of the picture at this point. But like I said towards the beginning of the broadcast, here at the Glen, making passes can be rather difficult. You really only have a couple opportunities to be able to make it work. I mean, here's a good section to make it through the chute. If you're fast enough, if you can stick it down through the inside, you might be able to come out ahead down the short straight into the toe. The toe is another good spot that you might be able to catch a driver, you know, again, overshooting the braking zone by 25, 50 feet, whatever the case may be. Able again to stick your nose down on the inside of them. So really it's all about timing. It's all about making sure that you're keeping your eyes open for those mistakes and trying to capitalize them as quickly as you possibly can. Now these cars are only so fast. You're not going to get the acceleration that you would as out of an LMP or a Formula One car, for example. Oh, Lovell. Big time. big time overshoot there out of turn 10. I'm not sure if that was necessarily an overshoot or if that was just an attempt to try and keep ahead of Jaden Hopp, whatever it was though. Heading back through turn 1 with only 11 laps left to go here tonight for the Mash Dash at the Glen of the 2022 Velocity Racing League Cup Series. Timing and scoring showing a couple drivers coming off track here. It looks like Matthew Fitz might have been one of them, but I don't think any damage was done to the 69 machine here, the Sparkle Unicorn. Oh boy, little sideways there, going through the heel. Slowing it way down to prevent anything else happening in that situation. So 11 laps left to go right at this moment. Now, the driver that stayed out the longest than anyone else, Logan Jones, the number 3 car, coming in on lap 22 with only 11 laps left to go. Again, he is going to be able to stick it out all the way until the checkered flag. And probably the only driver that might be able to do so. Well, there actually is a couple drivers that might be able to do the same here, but they're going to be on a little bit older tires. I don't know. So Jaden Hopp is right at that halfway mark for pit strategy right now. He came in on lap 18. He's kind of right smack dab in the middle of where he needs to be, to be able to stay out all the way until lap 36, the checkered flag. So, theoretically, if Jaden Hopp is able to retain the pace that he's had here tonight, he might be able to pull off a win here. Looking further beyond that, Patrick Colby, as well as James Coulibaly, both have they're both in that same pit window as well, but James Coulibaly here is a lap down. Patrick Colby is almost a lap down. So I don't know. The fight might even come down to Logan Jones and Jaden Hopp here. But that would also mean that Logan Jones would have to... Oh gosh, he would have to close nearly... almost a minute, it looks like, in pace to be able to be anywhere near the 81 car going into the final few laps of this race here tonight. So I don't know, folks. This is going to be quite an interesting finish, I would have to say, here for the Mash Dash. And with 10 laps left to go and no real sign of... Well, actually, right as I say that, we've got quite some action happening here. James Miller, the driver taking that undercut, coming in on lap 12. I did also mention that he would have to make a pit stop here before the end of the race, and I am pretty sure that's still going to hold true here for the 09 car, and it's starting to look like that pace is not quite where it was a few laps ago here for the 09 car. But I mean, he's still holding on to that first place spot, but with Howie Briss right hot on his heels at the moment, I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to do that here. So I want to take a moment here. Let's ride on board the roof camera of Howie Briss in the number 97 car. And let's just take a lap or two around the Glen and just listen to the sights and sounds here with Howie Briss as he is right hot on the tail of James Miller. James Miller, a little bit loose there, coming out of the chute, making our way through the toe. Howie Briss, there's the lead for the 97 machine. Is he going to be able to come away with the win here? Tonight at Watkins Glen, and for Howie Briss, it will be his second win of the season if he can maintain this lead for the next 8 laps. Oh no, Fitz hits it back together here right when it matters the most, through the final turn of turn 11. But the 69 machine mighty unsettled there. Going through turn 10, but here through turn 1. What is going on here with Fitz? Definitely does not seem to be having the best time tonight, trying to keep this car under control. Is Howie Briss, the race leader, trying to get around this traffic here. There he goes. Fitz making his way to the outside, letting that lead lap traffic on by. James Miller as well. He's trying to trail down Howie Briss, but this lap traffic not making it easy for him at all. Another driver that I totally overlooked that I just recalled. Oh man, I wish I would have remembered this now. Howie Briss actually was another driver that I forgot to mention that is going to be able to stay out here on this one-stop strategy here. Coming in lap 19, he's going to be well able to come across the checkered line here with enough fuel and probably enough rubber on the tires to maintain pace here with these final 7 laps. So I don't know how much longer James Miller is going to be able to stay out here with tires that are, from lap 12 as we're entering lap 30 once we cross the checkered line here. Howie Briss doing an incredible job here. Taking a look at the track map, you can see where everyone is at right now, but this is also kind of deceiving because if you look at the left-hand side of your screen, you can see the difference in pace between everyone. And I can tell you right now, the battles out on track are far and few between. There's actually not a single pack of cars that are within a second of each other. Everyone is in excess of at least a second and a half at this moment. So there is a lot of space between these drivers here at this moment. And with only 6 laps left to go, it's all, you gotta stay calm, you gotta stay patient, and just keep yourself out there until the end. And right now, that shouldn't be too difficult. Because again, a lot of these drivers are going to have a little bit of racetrack to work with. They're not going to have too much competition around them, giving them a hassle. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of lap traffic here and there, just depending on where you're looking throughout the field. Scott Shire, one of those drivers, sitting in 11th place at this moment. Just one of those drivers here tonight that not having the best race here at the Glen, but still keeping it out here tonight. I'm gonna take it across the line, whatever spot they can come home with. And that, folks, is dedication. Thomas Sewell saying, really thought Lovell would have had a better showing. He's definitely good here. And I got to agree with you, Tom. Lovell has shown incredible pace here tonight. I mean, we've seen him duking it out with Benny Hogan. We've seen him duking it. Oh, Fitz. There he goes again. I say that as if he's been doing that all night. But Matthew has done an incredible job here. It just seems like you're in this final portion of the race. The 6'9" car is not having the best time keeping this car in a straight line here. But anyway, back to my point. Lovell duking it out with some of the best drivers here in the league tonight, himself amongst that category. Really, I think just strategy alone just kind of not playing in the favor of the 37 machine here tonight. And I think for probably a lot of drivers that's going to be the case here, as again, you gotta have that strategy game down to a T. Oh no, we've got a car. Oh, Jaden Hopp. Oh man. This is not good for Jaden. The 81 machine, who we saw dominating this race here tonight, getting a little bit loose through the chute, falling back to 5th place here. I mean, it was already going to be a tough fight to the lead or even to a podium, but to now having been fallen back to the 5th place spot, and again, no one around to really build up any momentum, get a draft working, nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is crushing to see for Jaden Hopp. Meanwhile, though, James Miller, the driver, again, on the undercut strategy with coming in lap 12, 4 laps left to go. He's not showing any signs of wanting to come in here down into pit road. So I'm going to almost say that he's going to take it out for these final, what would it be, 14 laps? Or 14 miles, excuse me, with 4 laps to go, 3.5 miles in length roughly. James Miller making his, whoa, through the heel. You know, and we really can't attribute, I don't know, I can't say that it's all tires for Miller at this point, you know, seeing him kind of slide around a little bit, because we've seen a lot of that from multiple drivers here tonight. So I don't want to just, I can't say that it's just tires, but I would have to imagine Miller amongst the top 3 here is going to be fighting his car the most, I would have to assume. Again, with only 3 laps left to go, he's going to have to make another 10.5 miles before the checkered flag. So, you know, just how much longer are those tires going to last? How much longer is that fuel going to last here tonight? Are we going to see another finish with the 09 of coming across the line on fumes? I mean, the potential is there. The possibility is definitely there. Howie Bristow, I mean, tonight is gotta be a good night for Howie, showing that the 97 machine has the pace here to be dominant on a road course, which, if I'm not mistaken, would be the first time. So, taking a look back in the history books for Howie Briss here, just for a moment. The last time that we were at a road course, which was Virginia International Raceway, started 3rd place for that race, finished 2nd. The race before that was Road America. He started 6th and finished 3rd. So the past few road course races that we've seen, Howie Briss has been up there in the podium, but has just been an arm's reach away from that win. And frankly, throughout this season, I feel like Howie has been fighting tooth and nail every single race, it feels like, to come away with a win. But Howie's always got a great attitude about it. He's always, you know, hey, take them as they come, and you just do as well as you possibly can. And right now, here in the season, I don't think it really could have gone any better for the 97 here. Thomas Sewell giving me a little bit of information as well. Miller won the championship last year in his rookie Velocity Racing League season. Sophomore slump? I don't know. I don't know if I quite agree with that, but James Miller here, you know, again, another one of those drivers that has shown a lot of great skill throughout this season, and I think just really just having the mixture of drivers that we've had here in the season that all show a lot of great competition every single week. I don't know. It's kind of tough to say for certain, but I think for James Miller here, it has been definitely a tough season, I would to say the least. As Howie Briss crosses the line, the white flag is going to fly here at Watkins Glen for the MASH Dash. This will be the final time around the track before we determine a winner here tonight. And right now, I think just based on what we're seeing at this moment, I think it's pretty clear who we're going to see come across that line for the win. as well as possibly for our podiums here tonight. Howie Briss, having done an incredible job throughout this race, able to keep himself out here at the front of the field and through race and through pit strategy, able to keep himself out here at the front. After only having one win to his name for this season, looking to add on one more to that. And I think here at the Glen, that's probably, in my opinion, one of the best ways to do that is at a road course. We're seeing Howie Briss get up to the tail of Patrick Colby as they make their way through the final turns here at Watkins Glen. The checkered flag will fly here in just a moment. We come out of turn 11, out onto the front straightaway and across the checkered line. The 97 taking home the win here. Round number 24 of the Velocity Racing League 2022 Cup Series. James Miller, a little sideways out of 11 and across the line. He's going to take home second place here with Nicholas Lovell in that third place spot, taking it home across the line. As we have a few more drivers left before they make their way across the checkered line. We're watching along with Tony Hillbrands. We're just going to kind of be tuning in with each of them as they make their way across that line. Tony Hillbrands coming home with that fifth place spot. Here we're watching Jaden Hopp, the 81 machine, who we saw leading a lot of this race and was almost kind of a favorite to come away with a win here tonight. Coming across the line for sixth place after one mishap too many. Love it. Jaden Hopp ending the race the way that he feels about it as Cody Welch, the 85 car, mighty loose here. As the rest of the field also coming through the final few turns, getting ready to come across that line and take the checkered flag here tonight. But that is going to be the conclusion of our race here tonight, as we are going to go ahead and get ourselves ready for post-race interviews. Now have our post-race results. There they are on our screen. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves ready for post-race interviews. Just one moment here. Alrighty, folks. So, first up that we're going to have in the booth here, Nicholas Lovell, the number 37 driver, taking home third place here tonight. Nicholas, this was quite the interesting race, and really, I got to say, you had some hard-fought battles between not only yourself and Benny Hogan, Tony Hillbrands, even Jaden Hopp there for a little bit, it seemed like. I mean, coming into the night, strategy is the big thing here. What was kind of your plan, knowing that you're not going to win a race straight up through, fighting through turns and making overtakes and things like that? Nicholas, walk me through your strategy here for tonight.
Well, mostly after the tires got a little warm, it was holding on for dear life and trying not to spin it out. But before that, I was trying to get myself in a good position. I had a pretty decent qualifying run, and I could kind of fight with people, but I didn't really have the speed to make it up there because we were running the boot, and I'm not a big fan of Das Boot. But yeah, not too bad. I'll take a third. I'll take slime my way into a third.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, and with only, I think there's this race, and then, oh gosh, I think there's only one or two more road courses that were, Circuit of the Americas and then Laguna Seca are, I believe, the only two road courses that we have left. So,
we have Long Beach too.
Oh, Long Beach is in there. Okay, yes, that is in there. Okay, so three more that we have left. So, I mean, we're not completely out of the woods yet for you drivers, but I mean, this one, definitely one of the harder ones. Laguna's probably going to be the one. Folks, if you're watching, you definitely want to tune in for that race. That's going to be an exciting one. But anyway, Nicholas, with tonight out of the way, going forward into next week, heading to Daytona, kind of taking a blast from the past back to the start of the season. How are you feeling going back to Daytona again?
Well, I'm actually going to miss that one because I'll be on vacation, but I usually don't run too good at Daytona. I usually be, fourth or fifth with about 5 laps left, and then I'll be in the catch fence in 3 pieces. That tends to be how my plate races go. So, I don't mind missing them, but then we got Bristol and Five Flags back-to-back, so who knows how that's going to go.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad to know that you're excited for the next few races, and I look
pumped.
Well, I look forward to seeing you there, Nicholas, and enjoy your time off next week at Daytona. I'm sure you're gonna absolutely miss it. You'll want to be here. But anyway, Nicholas, before I let you go here and celebrate tonight, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
No, I think everybody missed this one. So we'll see I think it's Five Flags. We'll see who's watching at Five Flags.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you for joining me up here in the booth tonight, Nicholas. Thank you for putting on a good race, and I look forward to seeing you not next week, but 2 weeks at Five Flags Speedway.
Yes, sir.
All right, Nick, have a good one.
You too.
Alrighty, folks, that was Nicholas Lovell, our third place driver out of the booth here tonight. James Miller, the 09 machine, gonna be up next here, taking home second place tonight. James taking the undercut strategy here tonight, coming in early, lap number 12. The earliest out of the entire field here, and it was looking very promising for yourself. Once the rest of the field came down through the pits, what was it like having Howie Briss track you down there, 10 laps left to go, and having to duke it out there with the 97 machine? I mean, it had to have been tough being on, maybe not on paper that much older tires, but definitely the pace was there between you two.
Yeah, those tires were like ice by the time he was probably 4 seconds behind me. But, well, I mean, everything up to that, it was falling off and getting slick, and I did the undercut because I burnt the tires off trying to pass Howie in the first place, and it was kind of just a Hail Mary, to be honest. If a caution came out, it probably would have helped me. If not, I didn't end up losing it. Actually, I gained a position, since I'm not sure what happened to Jaden, but I think Jaden would have passed me anyways. But honestly, I'm surprised it took Howie that long to get to me. When I pitted in right off the bat, I was like, I think I'll 10 to go, he'll probably get to me. But I think I had it till 5 to go, so that wasn't too bad. But yeah, I used everything up on that car.
Yeah, and in that moment too, when you're pushing the car as much as you possibly can, the field is spread out the way it is. I feel as a driver, it's very tough to kind of come up with a game plan to, say, hey, I want to try and shave off some time, maybe not have an exact number, but be able to try and gain some time on your opponents ahead of you. But I mean, James, you did a phenomenal job just keeping out there on those older tires, as well as, fighting for first place for as long as you did and able to still come home with second place. I believe you had still about just over 5 seconds between yourself and Nicholas Lovell once you two actually came across the line. So for yourself, things I don't think could have worked out any more in your favor. I mean, albeit didn't come away with a win that you were probably hoping for, but still with a podium, it was a great strategy that you had here tonight in Watkins Glen. Definitely a very tough track to get that mastered, I guess is the word that I want to use there. But James, with tonight out of the way, Daytona coming up next year, going back to Daytona again. How are you feeling about that? And I mean, are you feeling confident ultimately?
I mean, you never know. Yes, I feel pretty good about Daytona. Daytona's gonna be fun. Had actually honestly pretty good success. I'm not sure if I'll have a teammate this year, and I think as the season's been going on, I'm not sure if I have many friends either. But just gotta keep it clean, really. I mean, these cars are tanks, so really, as long as you don't break a wheel off, the crashes shouldn't be too bad. But you never know what it's gonna be. So we're gonna pretty much just fly by the seat of our pants and see what happens.
Well, that's what I love to hear. Just taking it wherever the wind goes. James Miller coming home with second place here tonight. Very good work here at the Glen. James, but before I let you go and celebrate, anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go tonight?
Just shout out to Sean Williams. Guess he came down with some COVID, but it sounds like he's getting better. So I wish him the best and hope to see him next week.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me up here in the booth tonight, James. Congratulations once again. And I look forward to seeing you next week at Daytona, and hopefully we get to have a similar conversation next week.
I look forward to it, hopefully for first place this time.
Absolutely. Let's hopefully get that 09 machine up there on the pole for next week.
That sounds even better.
All right. You have a good one, James.
You too. Thanks.
Alrighty, folks. James Miller, the 09 machine, coming home with second place here tonight. Last and certainly not going to be least here, the championship leader, the driver to come home with the win tonight of the Mash Dash at the Glen. Howie, you did an incredible job tonight. I mean, for a long while there at the start of the race, it seemed like Jaden Hopp just had an almost unbeatable pace. But kind of midway, once pit stops started to roll through, things started to change a little bit, and the picture shifted to the 97 car, and kind of almost there towards the end as you were duking it out there with James Miller with, I think it was about 10 laps left to go. Howie, I mean, consistency was key here tonight. Pit strategy was key here tonight. Walk me through what your game plan was to tackle the Glen.
Pretty much just not step on it. That's what I kind of did. I almost did one time, but I saved it. So, yeah, I kind of figured that Jaden was originally going to pull away with it, and all of a sudden I started slowly gaining time. Like, okay, maybe I'm still in it. Maybe I'm still in it. And then all of a sudden he steps on it in turn one, and I just end up taking the lead. I'm like, okay, we're still in the hunt. And then James is all the way out front. I'm like, there's no way I'm catching. And then all of a sudden it's like the gap is just closing, and I'm like, okay, maybe I still have a shot. And I sent it going into the boot and ended up pulling it off somehow. So yeah, I just drove away pretty much.
Well, for yourself, I mean, we were kind of tuning along with you there for a little bit while you were duking it out for James Miller. And yeah, we were talking about it as well. James was on, oh gosh, I can't even remember the 7 laps. Different tires.
Yeah, you pitted like early, so I was like, okay, you pitted way early, but all right. That was gonna take an advantage of me, so.
And for yourself, I mean, hey, if that's gonna play out in your favor, that's gonna play out. But Howie, I mean, kind of coming away with the win tonight, almost unexpectedly for yourself. You said it yourself. It was kind of like, all right, I guess tonight's my night. Adding on another win to your lead here in the championship, you're probably going to be sitting pretty well in points. I mean, probably going to be pretty comfortable with the season at this point. So with Daytona coming up, with you know, couple short tracks, 5 Flags in Bristol in the next coming weeks, I mean, it's going to be a tough few races the next 3 weeks, I feel. How are you feeling about that? And do you think it's going to have any sort of impact on your momentum going forward?
Just keep the car in one piece and we'll live. But yeah, Yellow Man wasn't here tonight, so I'm happy about that. But now the points gap to me and Lovell is 165, so heck, I'll take that. Just lick the stamp and send it for next week. I mean, we got to keep the car in one piece, so.
And Daytona is going to be a very interesting race. It's been a while since we were at Daytona, obviously since the beginning of the season, so it's going to be good to be back and kind of see what the field is going to have this time around. But Howie, hopefully for yourself, we get to see similar success that from what we saw this week, and hopefully get to talk to yourself again once things are all said and done. But before I let you go here tonight and celebrate, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
Jeez, okay. Grandmother and granddad, they're watching. And Stephanie on the West Coast. I haven't gotten a text from her yet, but mom and dad are watching at home. RTR Racing, they kind of support me on the side. I go racing with them on the weekends. Oh, shoot. Everyone that supports the 97 team. And I think that's everyone I got. I hope I didn't miss anybody, or else I'll get some crap for it. But yeah.
Well, hopefully you got all your thank yous out there. If not, hopefully next week you'll be able to get the rest of them.
I hope so.
Well, Howie, thank you for joining me up here in the booth. Incredible job tonight. Able to come home with a win tonight at the Glen, and being able to add on another win to your season. It seems like it's been, you know, just on the edge for so long, and finally we're able to see yourself back on the win here tonight. Just congratulations once again, Howie.
We're back, baby.
We're back. Absolutely. Welcome back to the winning podium here tonight, Howie, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Daytona.
Yeah, I hope to see you.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Alrighty, folks. That is going to conclude our coverage tonight of the Mash Dash at the Glen, with Howie Briss out of the booth taking home the win here tonight. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight, 1080p, 60 frames a second. I hope you all enjoyed the action that you saw here tonight. If you did, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 days a week. Thank you all once again for tuning in and watching, and I will see you all same time, same place next week for the race at Daytona, the Beach Blast 200. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next week.